Hi everyone, welcome to 33 Founders. Chase and I are extremely excited to be at the Zesty office with co-founder Randy Apuzzo.
We're excited to have you.
Thanks so much for joining us.
So now Zesty is the first platform where companies can collaborate together to build a website.
Right.
So what can you highlight about really makes you guys stand out from everyone?
Yeah, so the second that you create an account for a website or for a company, you can start inviting people to it immediately. And if they already have a Zesty account, it's even faster, obviously. But the idea is for a developer to work with a company or a designer to work with a company is you create an account and then you can start laying out the content immediately. So you don't have to have the design or the development going, but you can already build the content structures and you can get the business in there populating content immediately. And that really helps with the flow, so you're actually working together. One thing being a designer and developer, not having content makes it really difficult to design and develop. So the second you get in there, you start asking content. You can do content requests. So say you do a layout for like founders and you have title, name, phone number, description. You can jump in there as a developer, hit ping, and it will ping the business owner, say, I need you to update content. They get an email that goes directly to that, and that just really helps for flow and getting going. So it's a nice collaboration aspect, and you can work on multiple sites at once. There's a chat box so you can communicate through the chat box, and so.
Awesome. So although the foosball might be deceptive,
Yes.
You guys are in web and content all day, every day, focusing on
Right.
this. And in particular, you've been doing it since you were 12.
Yeah.
What are 3 things that every website should have?
It should be an easy way. So like if there's a business owner, that person should be able to update their website, or the C-level employee, whoever it may be, the content writer, they should be able to get in there and just be able to update it without fear of breaking anything. So we wanted to make sure Zesty is very resilient to someone breaking it. Other people joke about other platforms like WordPress or Drupal, they're ticking time bombs, and they may go up nice and easy, quick, but sometime that year or sometime in the near future, it will either be hacked, go down, someone clicks the wrong thing, or someone's experimenting or exploring where they shouldn't otherwise. So I guess that's one thing you should always have. An easy way, like access, I think is really important. So being able to access from any point is really important. So living downtown and having an office downtown gets you some nice exposure like that. So being in San Diego, we always get some fun stuff like that. So
there we go. So speaking of brand presence, then what is your best advice for teams dividing labor to build that online brand presence and not this victorious downtown presence?
Yeah, so online brand presence, so talking about like content's always king, and that's why we're coined a content platform. And it's not just about websites. You could be distributing content anywhere. It could be news feeds, could be to like your iOS app or your Android app. So everything should be revolved around the content. Like even before you start designing, you should know what your content is. And whether you're a developer, designer, or the business owner, the C-level, the CEO, the salesman, like you should all be aligned with content. And once you figure that out, then you can start designing confidently. There's so many times that you can just throw a beautiful design together, but people aren't happy with it. It's not because the design's bad, it's because the content's not right. And when you talk about content, generally about communicating your brand, that's really important. So getting aligned with your brand and understanding what your brand is, then it comes down to content, and then you get into the design. So really is focus on content and brand, I guess, is core components. Let other people do their parts, but you have to all have a cohesive message. So that's really important.
Absolutely. And something that's really stood out to me about Zesty is the company culture. As I'm looking at the company and getting intrigued, I realized that somebody said they felt like your team was a part of their team.
Yeah.
And you don't often hear that with web developers because either it's remotely done or they come in, they do their job, and they leave. Tell us what company culture means to you.
Yeah, so there's all sorts of levels of culture. I think just generally between the team, just being able to have a good time. We're not doing this because it's work. We're doing it because we love it. And that also means that we need to have a break because, you're in front of a computer screen for 12 hours a day. It's good to be able to escape away to a foosball table and then integrate that with the community as a whole. So we've got like a 007 from N64 from when I was a kid, and it's nice to play that. As well as maybe a game of chess, and there's another game, Magic the Gathering, that we play. It's a card game, so we really nerd out both on the computer and off the computer. And even with the community as a whole, is like now pretty much almost every startup in San Diego has a foosball table. And it's been so much fun. We do tech foosball, which is a NCAA style. We get 16 teams, and we just go head to head, and it's single elimination all the way up to the finals. And everyone has to bring a T-shirt for their company, and the winner gets all the swag, which is really cool. So you walk away with a new wardrobe of startup T-shirts.
Yeah,
which
that's
is
pretty
fun.
awesome.
But going to the people who use Zesty, it's kind of, the brand's fun. Zesty, it's energetic, it's young. I mean, it's a very professional platform. It does very serious things. And generally, content and websites, they aren't very sexy, but they can be. And through the interface and communicating with people who use it, you can chat with us and call us through the platform, and we can just communicate and talk about what you need. Or a lot of people even jump into saying, like, ask for ideas for their site. We deal with so many sites and see so many sites that we know what other markets and all verticals are doing. So it's really easy to help, like even just like one sentence of consulting, like, hey, you could try this out, or you can integrate this. And I think that goes a long way.
Great, and I know another part of company culture that's important to you is competition. So
Yeah.
it's not just the foosball, but I read in your blog you were saying that you can have competition within an organization to target other companies and say, let's make sure we're keeping up with other competitors. It's not often that people say that. Can you tell us about that?
Well, I mean, I'm a very competitive person. Everyone in this office is, and it comes back down to the games. I mean, what are we doing? We're playing like N64, who's going to win, and there's 4 people against each other. With foosball, there's always a winner. And I think it's fun just to, like, that drive. It's like, it's a spark. And you can bring that spark inside of the company outwardly. I mean, as I say, is you got to be careful there, because you don't want to be pitting against other companies. But it's fun to stay competitive and say, what are we doing that they're not? And it's a nice driver, it really is, and everyone gets on the same page.
All right, so now going into the business model, 2 of our really good friends, Kim and Brittany from Zine Pack, were telling us that their best way to start their business was with a creative model. So as you bootstrap your company, what is your best advice really for simplifying your financial plan?
Yeah, so if you're bootstrapping and you're building a product and you have a revenue source, if you can in a way integrate your revenue source to that product, it's really helpful. We dog food all day, so the revenue we bring in outside of Zesty, we build on Zesty. So if we get an account on the agency side, we build it through Zesty, or we find a way to. And that's really helped. It's helped it grow. It lets us understand what their needs are. So really, like, over 150 websites on there, and just from our team alone, outside of the websites that are built from other people, it's really helped us learn, and we are taking care of the needs that they have. And we wouldn't learn that otherwise. I mean, you can't just build a product for yourself, you have to build it for others. So I mean, coming back to the revenue source, if you can integrate that in a way to your product, like, that's really good, because you're growing 2 things at once.
So that's a pretty creative model, though, still.
Yeah, it's still creative. I mean, as Zesty's getting bigger now, like, it will be split off from the agency
eventually.
But we're still going to be tied. Like, one of the big things we do is we work with USD, which is a university here, and 60 students each semester. And that allows us to work directly with them, and they get to work with 5 local businesses. Cool. And talking about
Very
competition, which is healthy, is that each business of the 5 businesses is assigned 3 teams of 3. And they get to create content strategies and build on Zesty for that business. And then they get to pitch that business at the end, and the business and the group that wins, their website goes live. So like local companies like Donut Bar have been involved, and it's been a lot of fun. So it still lets us stay, like, Zesty will always be connected to its clients in a way through that. So we're always going to do that, and I think it's really healthy no matter what. So definitely, if you're building a product, using it every day is really important.
Absolutely. And so one of the things on the note of building a product that you felt was one of your biggest mistakes building Zesty was when you guys were in beta and you were iterating the product for 4 months, you lost a lot of users.
Yes, we did.
What's some advice you can give to a startup who's just starting out in that beta phase? Because it's hard to manage everything while really nailing down a great product.
As hard as it seems, like, you got to communicate. And if you lose that communication, you're definitely going to lose a lot more than just communication. It's tough. So we, like, going back to what the problem that happened is, we get all these people and they're like, well, what about this, this, and that? We're like, okay, we'll just build that feature real quick. And then when we come back to them in 4 months, they're gone. What we should have done was just, help them through or work through the product rather than, like, disappearing and come back. Like, just keep them through it and like talk to them and what they're building, and like rather than like trying to address a need, trying to just communicate with them and get them engaged with the brand. Like, we lost that aspect, and we didn't do that then. We were like a group of developers, like, all right, everyone wants this, and like, let's go in a hole again for 4 or 5 months and come back out with this like amazing product. And you still should do that, iterate your product, but while you're doing it, don't forget that you need to communicate with your user base.
Your users.
It's as important as the product itself. I mean, people like to associate themselves with people. Like, you can't communicate with a product. so the
Very
people behind
well
it
put.
matter.
So would you suggest then, I think it's always difficult now, especially with social media, people can get in touch with you in so many ways. So if I'm a Zesty user and I say, oh, I'd really like this feature, and I tell you right away, how do you balance that feedback? It's hard to not dive into every piece.
Yeah, there's definitely a level of discipline that comes to it, and you get good at understanding when and when not to execute on something. And if you hear that same thing 5 times in a row, then maybe it's time to talk. One of the things that we did working with Jeremiah Gardner, who is just about to publish the Lean brand, which is really cool, is kind of brought together this idea of like, so we figure out what your brand is, what's aligned. So like collaboration, integration, those are 2 big things for us. So you get the feature and then you see, well, does it align with what our brand is, right? And then you can, like, we have it on an index card and we put it in, and it fits this one, or that one. How much does it fit that one? Well, it doesn't match our brand or what we're trying to accomplish, then maybe you shouldn't build it. Because you got to be careful. One feature can send you down this path that could change your product completely. So I think just aligning it with your brand is really important, and it's an easy way to say like yes or no. It's like it's defined rather than being like, is it a good idea? Is it a bad idea? I don't know. Talk it over. Like just give yourselves like strict rules, and decisions become easy. It also becomes easy to tell somebody why you don't have that, or maybe an alternate way to do it. Sometimes someone will ask for a feature, and rather than just going to build it, you find a smarter way to do something, and that's always helpful as well. That's aligned with your brand.
Yeah. And so now you've likened business and technology to Legos. So we're just wondering, what are you going to build next? Are you moving on to Connects or what?
Yeah, I mean, computers are great. They serve people, and you can do a lot with them. I'm really inspired by like what Elon Musk is doing, and like he's ready to go to the moon and beyond, or Mars, which is awesome, and it's really inspiring. We're getting our start here with computers, and I really like the idea of computers serving people and making our lives better, because you can tell a computer to do anything, and so long you do it right, it'll serve you perfectly. So I still think we're going to stay a lot in the web space, in collaboration, however you can help people. I really like working with businesses in general. So anything we can do that works, like bring people together to collaborate, it keeps consistent with our brand now. It just makes it a lot of fun. But roadmap wise, we're focusing on more integration and more kind of distribution of content, and working with social platforms so we can like set times to publish. So imagine you publish content, and then like there's items out there like Hootsuite that do it in Buffer. But we're thinking, if you're already publishing your content in one place, you might as well just schedule your social posts too. And it's not that hard to do. It's really easy. We're already integrated on the new platform.
Get working
with
on
it.
that, please.
Yeah, because you write it again. You're whoever's managing that content, not the developer, not your social people. Should be able to say, I wrote this article. It's going to publish on this date, and all my social blasts are going to happen right now, or at that time, and then it's good.
All right, Randy, you better not be teasing about that
No,
one.
we're not teasing. It's already the new version that we'll be coming out with the next couple months already has it built in.
Awesome.
So.
And then by next year, you'll be releasing websites for SpaceX.
Yeah, exactly.
There it is.
How can people get in touch with Zesty and get in touch with you?
Yeah, use Twitter. I mean, that's the fastest way for us to. It's quick, and like email is good, but we get 150 emails a day, and it gets tough. So it's funny, like Twitter it's nice because it's all there. So when you log into Twitter, you can just check who's communicated with you, and you hit them back. And, if the conversation gets more serious, then you can move over to email, but definitely hit us on Twitter.
And you're Go Zesty, right?
Yeah, Go Zesty. So our handles Go Zesty on everything, and outside of that, it's just zesty.io. It's